Hey, 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 scrappy people. It's Tracy Reed here today, coming at you with another 9x12 pocket page process video. And this is the continuation of my last video that I posted, when the sun paints us golden, or it was something like that. This is the coordinating pocket page. And as you can see, I chose to use the 3x3 pockets for this page. I don't use this often enough, but I had enough photos from this one that I wanted to use the 3x3s because I thought it was fun. And I also have that panorama up there at the very top of the view from where we rode to. And I thought it would look really cool split into 3 photos at the top. So this is the direction I went in, and I'm just picking up right where I left off with that 9x12 process video. So I've still got everything out on my desk. And the last thing I did in the last video was create some photo corners out of the vellum that I used to mat the photos with. So I decided to carry the photo corners over onto this spread as well and frame some of these photos. And I decided to frame, in the end I decided to frame all 3 of these that are repetitive diagonally across this page. And I'm going to fuss around with how I want to frame them, but I do end up framing all 3 of them in one way or another. So now I'm going through and adding some die cuts, and what I ended up finding when I was adding these die cuts was that they were all very linear, kind of boring the way that it was coming out. You know, here's a word strip, here's another word strip, here's a talk bubble, here's another word strip. And so I have them and I'm sort of working them around the page, but once I start getting them all sort of pinned down, I'm not loving the way that this feels. And you'll see what I mean when I start putting them down. So I'm kind of looking through the things that I brought in on the other side to see what I can incorporate for continuity on this side. So I've got these letter stickers out that I had already pulled out, and I'm actually wanting to use them even though the blue is very much like the blue on the sky on those top photos. That's exactly where I'm going to put them because I really like how it sort of blends in with the skyline rather than contrasts with the skyline. So you can see I'm just kind of going through and seeing if anything will work for these photos. So I just kind of put all the sticker sheets aside for the moment because nothing was inspiring me. And I've already got some photos on the other side, so I end up pulling both of them out and having to put one back. I shouldn't work with photos while they're in the pockets, but when I have this many photos sort of already put where I want them to be, I feel like if I take them all out of the pockets at once, I'm going to get confused and mix them up, and it's just going to get messy. So I just kept all of the photos in the pockets and pulled them out one by one as I needed them instead, which isn't my favorite way to work, but I do it for this side, and I actually tackled the other side of this pocket spread for its own layout in this whole big scrap session I did, so I do it with that side as well. I guess something about the 3x3 pockets and all the photos intimidates me. So I've got those photo corners down where I want them now. I end up putting one on the top right corner of that top photo, one on the bottom left corner of the bottom photo, so I used both in the top right and bottom left on this photo, so that it would create a whole lovely diagonal line. And I kind of like the way that turned out. It's pretty cool. I'm going to rearrange some of these photos sometimes because I felt like I needed more white space in some areas or some more close-ups in some areas. So I'm going to move the photos around a couple times. That word strip said carefree, and so I added be carefree on top of them. There we go. I think a part of the reason why I was rearranging the photos was not only because of the photos, but also because of the word strips and things I was using. There was a lot of white-based word strips that ended up going on these photos, so I felt like I kept feeling like I needed to separate both the word strips and the color white in some places, so that's kind of where my thought process was going. So you can see I have just a lot of very linear die cuts going on, so I'm kind of like, what do I do here? How do I mitigate the boxy feel of this boxy layout? So I'm pulling out more word strips that don't seem to be working well. I thought maybe there was some sort of cute saying I could cut apart on these cards, but nothing was really working with these photos. I'm going to incorporate a couple of these rub-ons, especially I like this little birdie. Makes sense to this layout, so I'm going to put it right here on this photo up in the corner. And once I add this like cartoony feel to the spread, then it starts feeling like, okay, where can I go in this vein? So I'm going to look through the rub-ons again, add a couple more. There's lots of little rub-on hearts that I'm going to incorporate because, of course, it's a lovey-dovey layout. So what I end up doing is putting a bunch of hearts on these photos that I put the photo corners on. And I kind of follow the same vibe that I followed with the photo corners in that I put 2 in the bottom, like the left-hand side of that bottom photo, and I'm going to put 2 in the top right-hand side of this top photo, and then I'm just going to put 1 on either side of Patrick and I in that middle photo. So again, they're creating sort of a vertical line across all of those photos and tying them together even though they're in different rows. They're not also in this, the way that I laid them out in this spread is they're not going from left to right, which is the way that we as English speakers read. So because they're not going from left to right, but rather right to left, I felt like I needed something to pull them all together a little bit so that they felt like a grouping. So I decided to add some labels behind some of these things, these clusters that I had created. And they're not labels for me to write on, they're labels just in clusters so that they add a little bit more visual weight to the spread and they're a little bit more interesting. So I go in and I start pulling up some of these glitter stickers and some of the die cuts that I've already put on here just to add some fun to the spread. Also, this helps to pull out this bee, which was kind of disappearing into my arm there, which is a similar color in this photo. I'm going to add in a few clusters of these enamel dots as well, just around a few clusters. I like adding clusters of 3s, it's just a habit I always do. Decided I want to add 1 cluster of each color on here, so it's kind of where I'm going right now. I'm going to add in a book plate behind this one, and it matches the color of the letter stickers. So again, it's blending into that skyline rather than detracting from it. Rearranging again. I want to add something underneath this Love Our Life as well, but I wasn't quite sure what to do. And I felt like I needed something on that photo, close-up photo of Patrick and I. So what I'm going to do is, this quote says, "You can find magic wherever you look. All you have to do is look in a book." So I cut off the "all you have to do is look in a book," and now I'm going to perform some sticker surgery on this sticker, and I'm going to make it fit in that corner between Patrick and I, like in the tree up here. And it kind of blends in with the tree, and it's kind of works for like the all you have to do is look, because you have to look for this sticker for sure. I'm performing some serious sticker surgery, cutting it all to pieces. I needed to trim this a little bit because it was going over his face and I didn't want that. I kind of really like the subtle little feel it gives to this photo too, especially since there's so many die cuts going on, so much like white stickery sort of pieces going on, that I like the subtle little quote in the background here. I think it works really well once I get it all trimmed up. Okay, so adding in my little enamel dots, of course. Gotta use all three. Creating a few more clusters. So it's just the edge of that label that I had cut off. So again, I'm always using my scraps. I can't not use my scraps if it's usable. Need to add in my journaling, and this is almost done. I'm going to pull in my other side so you can see them together, and that is it. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you, and if you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Tracy M. Reed, and that's Tracy with an I. All right, thank you.